Shem Hashem Naaseh V'Natzliach, Shir Torah, Bruchim Habayim. We are on our Tuesday night shiur, Igeret Ramban at Ner Avraham in Aventura, Florida. Today's shiur will be for a refuah shlema for Rabbanit Levana Bat Sarah, Yosef ben Levana, Rav Ephraim ben Shulamit, Rabbanit Sarah Bat Anat, Doris Bat Joa, David ben Esriya, Dvorah Bat Mercedes, and Esther Bat Zipporah. And all of Klal Yisrael, Bezrat Hashem, will have refuah shlema, refuat nefesh, refuat guf. Oh, and also for Stefan ben Cantarina. Cantarina will have refuah shlema, refuat nefesh, refuat guf. By default, as I mentioned last, was it Sunday, we had a shiur. People are asking at different times when the Yetzer Tov gets into them, and the Yetzer Hara is on vacation, people ask, what does it take to sponsor a lecture? So I discussed it on Sunday, so we're not going to repeat, but there's two types of lectures. There's the local lectures, which are these, 3 times a week, Baruch Hashem, we have lectures in Florida, which could range anywhere from 1,500 to 4,500, depending on how big the event is, how many people, and food, and so on. But then there's the lectures where people want me to travel to different places, and for those lectures it's a little bit different because it's really more so that they have to invest into the event to make sure there's going to be at least a few hundred people, because it's not very easy for me to fly. So if I'm already going to fly, it has to be something that's worthwhile. But the reason why I mention it again is because if somebody sponsors a lecture, whether it's a partial lecture, the whole lecture, it's him and a few friends, him by himself, her by herself, all of the blessings, it's not just that they get the merits of the mitzvot that come out of that shiur, but they also get the extra blessings as well, whether it be refuah shlema that they need, zivug, parnasat tova, whatever it is that they need. The power of Torah is already by itself enormous, but the Torah being publicized to the world for the sake of helping people do tshuva, there is no greater merit than that. Someone asked me just the other day, people always ask me questions, they don't mean by it, but some of the questions, when you think about them, they're a little bit silly. But it's very funny that people always ask me about who they should donate to. They tell me that our shulim have changed their life, and now they are this, and they're that, and this, and now they want to start giving maaser, so they give me 2-3 different options of organizations they want to donate to. Which one do I like the best? So it's interesting, but I know it's my personal tikkun. But anyway, the other day, a very nice couple asked me, what do I think of? There's a few of these organizations that is collecting money from people for the sake of building the next Bet HaMikdash. What do I think? Should they donate to them? And I told them clearly what I'm going to tell you now. Anyone that's collecting money to build the next Bet HaMikdash is either an ignorant fool that will never see the Bet HaMikdash because they haven't learned Torah, or they're a criminal that will also not see the Bet HaMikdash. Why? Because anyone that has read the prophets, anyone that has read the prophecies of what's going to happen at the end of times, knows that money is going to be the least of our problems at the time of Mashiach. One of the signs that the Mashiach is the Mashiach is that he's going to be able to build a Bet HaMikdash. He's not going to need to borrow any money from any banks, to say the least. He's not going to need to apply for any loans. You're not going to see the Mashiach going to your local Chase Bank and applying, yes sir, what's your name, first name? Mashiach. Okay, last name? Ben David. Okay, date of birth? Today. Okay, where are you from? Here. Oh, okay, sure. What's your annual income? 0. Oh, well, sorry, sir, we can't approve you. Like, what are people thinking? You think you need money to build the Bet HaMikdash? What are we, Christians? Who thinks of this? So, who thinks of this? Criminals. criminals, or ignorant people. It's hard for me to believe that people are that ignorant, but I've seen some people that are so ignorant that it wouldn't surprise me that the group, or actually several groups of organizations, are collecting money from innocent souls to build the next Bet HaMikdash. It's the most absurd thing in the world. There's even an opinion by the sages that the Bet HaMikdash is going to come down from heaven, ready, set, with just a couple of stones missing, so we can become shutafim, partners with Hashem in building it. But in reality, the whole thing is going to be built. But either way, Rabotai, anyone that asks you for money to build a Bet HaMikdash, or to go fund the next menorah, or to go fund a bunch of red cows, any of that stuff, just put it on the block list. There's on your phone, there's after you go in contact, you scroll down, it says block, press block. Why? No. Outright. It's complete nonsense. The most important thing that a person needs to do first, more than any tzedakah in the world, is save themselves. Save themselves. What does it mean, save yourself? Tshuva. Every person must do tshuva. Every person. Every person has to correct their character traits. Every person has to overcome obstacles. Every person has to overcome addictions. We had a shiur last night with our dear friend Leo in Chicago, which Hashem has been a big hit in the last 24 hours. And the reality is that addictions of all types, whether it be drugs, gambling, sex, alcohol, and so on, are unfortunately in every single community, and the Jewish communities are not excluded from that list. People that want to see Mashiach have to overcome their addictions. You're not going to overcome your addiction, you're not going to see Mashiach. If your addiction is to drive on Shabbat because you don't think it's such a big deal, guess what? It's a big deal. Hashem says it's a big deal. So, the first thing that a person needs to do before he writes any checks, fix themselves. You have an arrogant personality, you're a mean person, you're stingy, you have some type of character trait that obviously everyone else thinks is bad. Guess what? You have to fix it. That's how you get yourself prepared for Mashiach. Because Mashiach is not going to be, giving shiurim once a week. Oh, guys, you didn't do tshuva yet? Okay, next week. I'll see you next Tuesday. Mashiach is going to smell the fear of God, smell the fear of God in people, and decide, judge right there. Right there. Alive or dead. On the spot. No second trials. No, I'll see you next week. We'll give you another chance. On the spot. That means if we don't start getting ready to fix our horrible character traits, our horrible sins, our horrible whatever Hashem says is horrible, guess what? No amount of tzedakah in the world is going to help you. So first and foremost, before you write any checks, save yourself. Once you're already on the path of saving yourself, then you have both a moral and a biblical obligation to save others. You have to help people get closer to Hashem. Why? Because they're all His creations. They're all His children. And the last thing you want is for Hashem to have His Mashiach have a face-to-face with you and say, listen, didn't Hashem give you like $500,000 in the bank? Didn't Hashem give you like $1 million, $2 million, $3 million in the bank? What'd you do with it? Oh, you have a house in the Palms, a house in Mexico. How are those houses doing for you? You did good. They went up in price. What about all those Jewish neshamot? What about all those Jewish neshamot that you could have saved with that money? Instead of having 13 houses, you could have had one. It's enough. Maybe two. You didn't have to have all those houses. You didn't have to have all those cars. You didn't have to have such a big collection of watches. You didn't have to have all these different things. Okay, you want to enjoy the world? No problem. But did you at least fulfill the minimum requirement of giving a maaseh for the sake of saving other Jewish neshamot? Why? Because Hashem is going to say, that's my kid too. I gave you money, not for you to buy houses and cars and this and that, also to save neshamot. You are my tool. You didn't serve your purpose. Last thing you want is that meeting. Why? Because even if you're keeping Shabbat, even if you're keeping Talat Mishpacha, you're keeping kosher, I promise you're not going to want to have that meeting. If you have money in the bank, you have money invested in all types of things, but your kiruv account is halfway homeless. Why? Because this is our last chance. This is everybody's last chance. No more chances after this. Someone lives, someone dies, finished. Mashiach comes, finished. So if a person wants to be wise and wants to invest into the future, not the future in this world, the future of eternity, they have to invest into kiruv. They have to invest into publicizing Torah. There is nothing greater than that in the world. Because you're literally taking your hard-earned money, you're taking your blood, sweat, and tears, and you're telling Hashem, Hashem, I know it's all yours anyway. I'm going to take, out of the 100% you gave me, I'm going to take 10%, I'm going to invest it so you can get your other kids back home. That's what I'm going to do, Hashem. No one in the world can ever accuse you of anything at that point. Why? Anyone that helps the public do tshuva, the Mishnah in Avot says, sin doesn't come to his hand. He has special protection from heaven. Special protection from heaven. Of course, he cannot be a thief and donate the money he stole. Of course, he cannot be a mechalel Shabbat and help other people keep Shabbat. Hashem is not going to give him such merit or her merit. But a person needs to know that there's, unfortunately, because there's so much money involved in the religious world, or if you want to call it even the religious business, unfortunately, there's a lot of criminals. There's simply a lot of criminals. Some of the criminals have a long beard. Some of the criminals have big hats. Some don't. Some are Christian. Some are Jews. Some are Arabs. There's no like, oh, only they are. No, there's criminals. There's young criminals, there's old criminals, there's female criminals, there's male criminals, all types of criminals. You have to be smart. Just like if you are going to make a major investment into property or stocks or companies or anything like that, you're going to do research. You're going to get references. You're going to double check. You're going to check what's the rest of the neighborhood look like. Before I buy this house that looks beautiful, for $500,000, let me check the neighbors. Let me see what happens. Let me see the crime report. Let me see what's going on here. Before you invest in it. Why? Because you want to check where your money's going into. Well, guess what? When it comes to kiruv, when it comes to your tzedakah money, when it comes to your maaser money, which are two different mitzvot. Maaser is 10%, tzedakah is as much as you want. When it comes to that, Rabotai, that's the only thing that we're going to actually have left from this world. The tzedakah that we gave, the maaser that we gave, and the Torah that we fulfilled, the Torah that we learned. That's it. Nothing else. The cars, the houses, the fancy pens and watches, the fun vacations, whatever, food you ate on Tuesday, none of that's going to help you. None of that's going to come with you. So it's important that we act wise with our investments. Now, many times people look at their money that they donate a lot of money, and they see that sometimes their donations really haven't helped their life very much. They still have tzarot. They still have problems. They donated, they built a Bet Knesset, they bought a Sefer Torah, they did a lot of nice things, but their problems didn't go away. In fact, sometimes their problems increased. I remember after I bought a Sefer Torah years ago, when I actually still had money, and I just did it because it was a good thing to do. I didn't necessarily think. No one ever told me, oh, you buy the Sefer Torah, you're going to heaven. And even if they would have told me that, I wouldn't believe them. But I bought a Sefer Torah, and people made a big deal out of it. It was in the newspapers, they had a big party. Baruch Hashem, it was nice. But the last thing on my mind was that after I bought that Sefer Torah, my life would slowly but surely go down the tubes. Like instead of things getting better, it actually got worse. Much, much worse. Much worse it got. You ask the average guy, listen, how did your life turn out after you bought a Sefer Torah? If his life got much worse, many times the person doesn't want to do it again. If the person donated a lot of money for something good and bad things happen after, many times he doesn't want to do it again. She doesn't want to do it again. And that's the mistake. That's a mistake. And the reason why is because that means that you did research on donations maybe, to figure out what's the best donation. You did research maybe on your business to make you the money to make such a big donation. But unfortunately, you didn't do enough research on what is the purpose of your neshama in this world. And that's B'ezrat Hashem what we're going to talk about today. Why does every single person on earth have problems? Everyone has problems. There's no exception. The only people that don't have problems in this world are people that left this world. If you have problems, that's a good sign you're alive. But that means that whether you're doing good things or you're doing bad things, you have problems. Different problems nonetheless, but you have problems. So the Ramban, over 800 years ago, writes in his letter, after he tells us to make sure that we correct our character traits, after he tells us to make sure to run away from anger, to be nice to people, to look at people in a favorable way, to make sure that we learn from the Torah to, on a regular basis, review it, apply it to our life like we talked about last week. Now he continues and he says, Utefashvesh b'ma'asav b'boker u'ba'erev. He says, review your actions every morning and every evening. We are, if you have the small book, we're on page 98, which is the 25th chapter. Review your actions every morning and every evening. Now, he told us to learn Torah. He told us to see what did we learn that we could apply to our life. He says, no, absolutely not. Absolutely not. You actually have to review your actions. Yeah, but if I already applied stuff to my life, doesn't that mean that I reviewed my actions? No. The reason why is because when I say to you guys, review your actions, what does that mean to you? No, they don't have to be shy. They don't see you on the camera. They only see me. What does it mean to you? When I say review your actions, what does that mean to you? Son, you tell me, what does it mean to you? Other than the brownie, what does it mean to you, review your actions?
Like how you did today, like
how? What does it mean? How you did what?
Your attitude.
Attitude what? Good attitude, bad attitude, good stuff, bad stuff, what?
Maybe like why bad things are happening to you. Like your
okay, so review the bad stuff that's happening in your life.
Yeah, but I also think like why it's happening to you. Because like,
so review, so what's going to cause bad things to happen? Sin. So review the bad things you did.
Yeah.
Okay, good. No? Anybody else has a different answer?
And the good things you did.
Why would you review the good things that you did?
Because you need to know that. You need to know both so you can improve on it also.
How can you improve? If it's already good, how can you improve it?
I don't know what to say.
Because you can still do it.
You know what to say. You had the answer. I'm going to keep focusing on you because you have the answer. That's the answer I'm looking for. Why do I have to look at the good stuff? Bad stuff, everybody knows.
Because you can't, if you only look at the bad, you'll get depressed and you'll just think you're sometimes...
No, you're going in the wrong direction. You're performing a U-turn on me right now.
Okay.
Why do I have to review the good stuff? No, who's going to give me the answer? Why do I have to review good stuff? No?
How to make it even better.
How to make it better. Okay, that's nice. What else? What's another reason? I have to review the good stuff.
To not be depressed and give your kids to go.
Not to be depressed, so I got to give myself a pat on the back. I'm going to come to your house every day. No? Why do I have to look at the good stuff? Anybody else want to volunteer any more answers? Yeah,
if you think of yourself as being good or being perfect, then you might look upon yourself as being like, oh, I'm good already. So
you get content. You get content. You become prideful.
Yes.
Okay, both of you are in the right direction, but it's not it yet.
Yeah, you're always in the middle, so you can choose between good and bad, but that's still not the answer.
Nice. You guys, no, you're in it. So okay, so let me tell you, this is a fantastic chidush, but it's deep. It's something that you have to think about for a second, because naturally we're never going to come up with it. We have to use the sages to come up with this answer. If anyone here would have come up with the answer, I would have probably hugged you. Why? I wouldn't come up with this answer. We had to go back 800 years to come up with this answer. So the Ramban is telling you have to review your actions in the morning and at night, meaning there's a lot of stuff going on. A lot of stuff going on. So reviewing your actions is introspection, or in Hebrew it's cheshbon nefesh. And the Ramchal, the Mesilat Yesharim, says that a person has to carefully examine his ways on a daily basis, just like a successful businessman constantly supervises and evaluates their investments. A person has to designate a special time each day to do his cheshbon nefesh, his personal accounting, to be conducted, everything he did in a positive way, in a good way, and is getting good returns. You have a store. At the end of the store, I remember I used to work in retail when I was a teenager. Every day at the end of the day, you open, the boss opens the cash register and starts looking at the receipts, how much they made for the day. Either has a smile or he has a frown. It's how do we do today? Because you have an average. You're making 1,000 a day, 10,000 a day, 20,000 a day. If you met that average, you're happy. You did above that average, you're even happy. You went below average, something's wrong. You do below average more than a few times, you have to make changes. If you have any type of company, you have to do this type of analysis on a regular basis. Sometimes daily, sometimes weekly, sometimes monthly. But the point is that as a businessman, every person understands that you have to review what's going on. Your profit and loss, if you will. The Ramban is telling us you have to do it as a human being also. But you cannot wait for the whole week to go. You can't wait for the whole month to go. You can't even wait the whole year all the way to Rosh Hashanah. Why? It's too late already. You have to do it every day. You have to review it in such a way that the Mesilat Yesharim explains is that you have to scrutinize yourself and review all of your horrible things that you already know about yourself. You went to a shiur, the rabbi says you're not allowed to steal. Not from Jews, not from Gentiles. Okay, you already know at that second you heard that statement whether you're a thief or not. You know you're a thief. So if the rabbi says you're not allowed, Torah says you're not allowed, you already know you have to fix that if you're a thief. Torah says you're not allowed to be arrogant. Why? Kadosh Baruch Hu says, I hate arrogant people. You already know if you're an arrogant person. If you think you're better than everybody else, guess what? You're arrogant. If your wife complains to you that you're arrogant, I promise you you're arrogant. People in your workplace complain that you're an arrogant person, or you think who you are, and all types of other expressions that are similar to it, that's what you are. You have to fix that. Why? Hashem hates it. Everyone knows their bad stuff immediately. If I say, what's bad about you, every single one of us that's normal, immediately 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things pop up. I gotta fix this. I gotta get over this thing. I gotta do it. But that doesn't require day and night. You already know it. When you woke up, you go and you know that at night. You've had it for 30 years. So the Mesilat Yesharim explains is that you have to, it says, Yifashvesh b'ma'asav, Yimashmesh b'ma'asav. He has to scrutinize and he has to evaluate. The scrutiny is over the wrongdoings, the things that are obvious. But the evaluation is evaluating your good things. Why are you evaluating your good things? The reasons that you gave were wonderful. Don't get prideful, don't get content. Yeah, that's nice. But the sages say something different. They say, listen, let's look at what the Rambam said last week. He said, study Torah every day and apply it to your life. And don't get up until you apply it. Don't just treat it like a history book. Now he says, review your actions day and night. Why? Now that you've learned Torah, now that you've learned a few new things in your life, now review your good actions. Are they still good? Before you learned Torah, you thought they were good. You thought it was a mitzvah to steal money from Goyim. Because somebody told you, yeah, just steal from Goyim, what's the big deal? Now that you learned that in 1.5 million different places, it says that stealing from Goyim is worse than stealing from Jews. Worse, it's Chilul Hashem too. Not just theft, it's also Chilul Hashem. Is that stealing still good? Yeah, but Rabbi, I donated the money to a synagogue. That synagogue is not going to stand because the money is not clean. That's what the Pele Yoetz says. The Pele Yoetz says there are certain people that fool themselves into thinking that you're allowed to steal from goyim. There's a heter, there's a leniency. And they make themselves feel better by donating the money to synagogues. And they get kavod from the community. Wow, chazaku baruch. Good job. Thanks for donating. We wouldn't be here without you. So he feels good. He says they don't realize that they're worse than anybody else. It's worse to steal from goyim than to steal from Jews, because not only is it theft that's forbidden in the Shulchan Aruch, forbidden in the Torah, forbidden in every place, but also it leads to Chilul Hashem. Also it leads to giving power to Amalek. Also it leads to giving the angel, the Sar of the goyim, the right to steal from the angel of the Jews. All types of horrible things happen when we steal from Jews. Now you guys are probably thinking, I'm thinking, oh yeah, stealing probably, don't rob his house. No, I don't mean that. What if a goy says to you, listen, I want to buy kosher meat. I want to buy kosher meat. Why? I want to eat kosher. Now, all of us know, goyim are not obligated to eat kosher meat. They're not obligated. There's no, like, if a goy eats a pig, or eats a bat, or eats a cow, it doesn't make a difference. As long as it's dead, allowed to eat it. No problem. There's no, prohibition from eating any of these animals. These people are saying, oh, this stuff is happening because they eat animals. No, it has nothing to do with that. It has to do with eating live animals. Eating live animals is forbidden for everybody. Now, so what if this guy wants to elevate himself? Says, not only I'm not going to eat this bats and cats and dogs and all everything else, I want to eat what you guys eat. I want to eat the kosher cow that's slaughtered and everything else, and preserved, and it's salted and so on. I want to eat that. Now, you know, came to shiur, he doesn't have to do it. Doesn't change anything about him. He doesn't become holier because he's eating kosher meat. It doesn't affect his mind like it affects a Jew. Like it has nothing to do, nothing. No effect on the non-Jew at all if he eats kosher meat. If a Jew eats kosher meat, it affects his neshama. Non-Jew eats kosher meat, nothing. So now, you go to the back, and you see, I got kosher meat. This guy's going to buy $1,000 worth of kosher meat. So I got the kosher meat box, and the kosher meat box cost me, let's say, $600, $700. I'm going to sell it for $1,000. It's a good profit. But then I have the bad stuff, the stuff that is not kosher. You know, the slaughter went bad. So usually what do? You sell it to the Arabs. Because the Arabs don't, they have halal. They also slaughter their animals just in a vicious way. So in essence, all of the bad slaughters we sell to the Arabs. That's why you're always going to see the kosher butcher right next to the halal meat on the same block. Because they buy the meat from us when it's not good. When it's not good for us, it's still good for them. Meaning it's still a good product, but it's just not kosher for us. So now he sees, oh, here's the halal meat right next to it. Here's the... But now you cannot sell the halal meat, you cannot sell the non-kosher meat for $1,000. This dropped in price by 60%. $400 if you're lucky. But this guy doesn't know it. Can I sell him the non-kosher meat for $1,000? You're going to say no because we already started the topic, but tell me why. Tell me why. First of all, the kosher meat doesn't affect him. Second of all, he doesn't have to eat kosher meat. 3, he's never going to know. He's never going to know. And 4, I'm going to take the $600 profit instead of the $400 or $200 profit. I'm going to take the $600 profit and I'm going to give it to Bezrat Hashem. I'm going to give it to a Kiruv organization. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do mitzvah with it. Well, what's the problem? No, give me a reason why. Why am I not allowed to do this?
He says he wants kosher meat, whether it affects him or not. That's not up to you to decide.
Right.
So he said kosher meat. You have to give him the kosher meat. That's the deal.
Why?
Simple as that.
Why? I need a why. I know that the reason no. I got you, but I need a why. Halachically, it's called gnevat dat. I'm stealing his mind. He, whether it affects him or not, like Sutton said, doesn't make a difference to me. But he is under the impression that he is buying kosher meat. He is paying for kosher meat. That's the impression he's under. What it's going to do for him, not going to do for him, that's not my business. Reality is, he's under the impression that it's going to do something for him. He's paying for it. I'm not allowed to get in the way. I'm not allowed to steal his mind. I'm not allowed to sell him a fake watch and tell him it's real. I'm not allowed to give him fake dollar bills. I'm not allowed to sell him a house, tell him, oh, this house is fantastic. And I know the house has to change the pipes in 2 weeks. Oh, this house, yeah, it's amazing. Amazing house. The block, look, all the neighbors are nice people. What a wonderful house you have. You look at the house. Yeah. How much you want for it? $600,000. Okay, deal. Now the guy that sold it knew that the house has to change the pipes. And he didn't do it himself. Why? Why didn't he do it himself? Because to change the pipes is going to cost you $50,000, $60,000. Guess what? According to the Torah, that's mekach ta'ut. That deal can be cancelled. If you can prove that he knew that there's a problem, you cancel the whole deal. Why? Because you didn't buy it under the impression and the knowledge that you're going to have to spend $60,000 to fix this place. You bought it as if everything is good. If the guy knew there's already something bad, you have a very serious problem. Now, whether that buyer is a Jew or a non-Jew, doesn't matter. You're not allowed to do it to either one of them. But it's actually worse if he's a non-Jew. It's worse if he's a non-Jew because it leads to Chilul Hashem. Now some are going to tell you, wait a minute, hold on a second. There is a Rambam that says that the Ta'ut HaGoy, the mistake of the Goy is allowed. It's allowed if you didn't know about it and he made it on his own, and some opinions say that's not allowed. But if you knew about it, you tricked him, it's forbidden by all opinions. Meaning, if you're in a jewelry business, okay, and somebody comes to you and he says, listen, I want to sell this inheritance that I have. I got this, this piece of jewelry, whatever, this watch. You want to pay me anything for it? You look at it, it's like, it's not worth anything. It's not worth anything. I'm not even sure I want it. And you know in your heart this thing's worth $150,000. You know for sure it's worth $150,000 cash. But you want to destroy this guy's morale. Because he came in there expecting hopefully 10, 20, 30,000. Now you want to destroy the guy. And you want to get this guy to sell it to you for nothing. Guess what? In Shamayim, you are 100% a thief. Gezel 100%. 100% thief. You knew it? Thief. Not allowed. Now you go to 47th Street, you go to different places in Miami, different places in Los Angeles, you can tell them this, they're going to put me on cherem. Say, this guy is not allowed in any Jewish community. But that's not me, it's Allah. Not allowed to cheat people. Not allowed. And you're going to say, yeah, but they're donating a lot of money. Donate all you want. You have to review your good actions. Did the good action that you do, was it really good or you just think it's good? You gave money as a donation. Did you give the donation because you care or because you want everyone to say Kol HaKavod? Oh, Mr. Smith and Mr. Reuven and Mr. this one and that one, they're the ones that built the Beit Knesset. Is that the reason you built it? It's not even a good action. What's good about it? That you got Kavod? That's good. What kind of mitzvah is that? That's like a mitzvah with holes in it. Show up to Shamayim with ripped clothes. You look like a rock star. Well, what is that? That's what the Ramban is saying to us. When you review day and night, it's not just review the bad, the obvious. You know that if you're stealing for sure. You know if you're murdering for sure. You know if you're eating taref for sure. You know if you're cheating for sure. You know. No, review the good stuff, the things that you thought was good. But what would lead you to now think otherwise? Because now you learned Torah. You learned Torah, you reviewed it, you found new insight. You learned a new halacha. You learned a new insight about something that you never knew before. Now it's time to fix it. Now you have to review and compare it to your actions. That's the amazing chidush of the Ramban here. Now, when a person looks at things that way, all of a sudden, he turns himself into suspect number one. he no longer cares so much about what everybody else is doing wrong. You know, there's a lot of people, they can point what's wrong with everybody else. Oh yeah, she's cheating, he's lying, he's this, he's ugly, she's fat, she's this. Everybody has something wrong except themselves. Gemara Masechet Shabbat says, "En adam roeh chova be'atzmo." A person does not see flaws in himself. Why doesn't he see any flaws in himself? Because he's only looking at everybody else except himself. Once a person does this, he starts reflecting on himself based on what does the Torah really say, and compare it to what does he actually do in comparison to the Torah. Automatically nobody else matters. Why? I'm the biggest criminal in the world. Even my mitzvahs, I'm not even sure Hashem's going to accept them. They're like a mitzvah on discounts, like from like a home to give it to me. Yeah, what kind of mitzvah? He starts analyzing how you're supposed to pray, and then he compares the last 20 years of prayers, and he says, I honestly, I'm surprised if Hashem just put my prayers on a do not call list. You look at your prayers, you look at what Hashem says you're supposed to do. Hashem yirachem. You look at the tzedakah that you give, you look at what Hashem expects from us. Hashem yirachem. You start reviewing yourself. Oh wow, you get embarrassed. You get embarrassed. That's why, Rabotai, in this week's parasha, when Am Yisrael was complaining, they want this, they want that, they complained to Moshe Rabbeinu in Parashat Beshalach. Moshe Rabbeinu and Aaron HaKohen, two of the greatest human beings on earth. The Gemara says no one else was greater than them. The Torah didn't give such a high description, such high attitude towards, such appreciation towards anyone more than them. Even Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. They called Moshe, the Torah calls Moshe Ish HaElokim, the man of God. Eved Ne'eman karata lo. He was your loyal servant. No one else. Well, loyal servant. I'll be just a Jew. What servant? Moshe Rabbeinu, the king of Am Yisrael, the Ish Emet. If it wasn't for him, we would all still be in Egypt till this day, 3,300 years later. No one else could do the job. No one else wanted the job. Moshe Rabbeinu tells Am Yisrael, V'anachnu ma? We are nothing. We're nothing. He tells them, complaining to me, what? Drink, this, that, complaining to me. I'm nothing. How could somebody so amazing, strong, beautiful, smart, holy, everything you can describe he has? How could such a person arrive at such a conclusion that not only he's not all those great things, he's the exact opposite, he's nothing? Tell me honestly, who here really thinks they're nothing? Don't lie to yourself. Don't raise your hand. Nobody thinks they're nothing. You know how I know? It says in the Torah. No one is ever going to be, no one ever was, no one's ever going to be like Moshe Rabbeinu. The humblest human being that ever existed. No one is ever going to think again, I'm nothing, like Moshe Rabbeinu. Even if you're depressed, you still think you still think you're more than nothing. Even if you're suicidal, you still think you're more than nothing. I met one guy that was he had what is it called? Some type of disease that makes him look very weird and act very weird to the average normal person. And he talked to the guy. This guy's more arrogant than anybody else in the room. He's like, yeah. I'm like, oh, you're looking for a shidduch? Yeah, no, but I don't want somebody like me, though, he says. So, what do you want? No, I want a nice, beautiful girl, this, that, that. And I'm thinking about this guy ever look in the mirror? Does he understand? There's a pretty big, gap between where he is and what he wants. Like, is he in this world? No, he thinks, what's the difference? What's the difference? What was the matter with him? He doesn't think he's nothing. Nobody thinks they're nothing. Except Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu says, I'm nothing. How can you arrive at such a conclusion? When you evaluate each one of your actions and you see how you perform them, how you can perform them, how you should perform them, how you're serving Hashem versus how you're supposed to serve Hashem. Anyone that's proud of their tefillah every day, a lot of people tell me, listen, I pray 3 times a day. Like they expect like applause. Yay! 3 times a day? Wow. It's nobody like you. Tzaddik Balayil. From now on, you come to the Knesset and I'm going to stand up because you pray 3 times a day. No, I put on tefillin every day this week except Shabbat. Oh, wow. You know what? Next chidush is about you. You want to see somebody pray? Go watch the video that I have on my channel of the Klosenberger Rabbi. The Rav Mitzans, every single day. We're not talking about Yom Kippur. Every single day, the way he would pray, I wish I could pray like that once in my life. Forget about every day. Once in my life, if I could pray like that, I'd be happy. Every day, the way he cried to HaKadosh Baruch Hu like a little baby, and he would continue for hours. It wasn't like a show. It would continue for 3-4 hours. People would just come there and just get chizuk just by standing there and crying with him, not even knowing why he's crying, because he's the biggest tzaddik in the world, but they're crying because he's crying. Shachrit, 3 hours, 4 hours. Mincha, 10-minute prayer for the average person, 15 minutes max. 2 hours, 3 hours, crying hysterical crying. Tears and everything. People would travel from all over the world just to show up, just to be in the same room when he prays. He didn't have to speak much. He cried. You hear him pray, you do tshuva. Either you do tshuva or you commit suicide. One or the other. Something's going to happen. You cannot stay the same human being if you hear him pray. Anyone that's proud of their prayer, you should hear how you're supposed to pray. That's actually how you're supposed to pray. If you believe the Borei Barach, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is in the room, that's how you're supposed to pray. Where are we and where is he? So when you start evaluating the stuff you think is good, no one says get into a depression. But be real, be honest. Is it really that good? Is it as good as it should be? Is it as good as it could be? Do you invest into it as much as you do into all the other stuff that you do? Once you evaluate it, you can start now finally understanding how Moshe Rabbeinu arrived at the conclusion that he's nothing. Because he knew his potential, he knew what he can do, and he also knew Hashem in a way that no one else in the world ever knew. He knew what's owed to Hashem. Now, the beautiful thing is that once a person evaluates these things, he starts looking at things very differently. Now, the Gaon Vilna says that when you say pishpush, the scrutiny or examination of yourself, he says that that's the essence of the human experience. Meaning that's in essence the ultimate level that a person needs to get to immediately in order to start fulfilling their role in the world. Evaluating everything. And he quotes Shlomo HaMelech that says in Proverbs chapter 20 verse 14, Ra ra yomar hakoneh ve'ozel lo az yitalal. He says, it's bad, says the buyer. When he goes on his way, then he boasts. He says that, sometimes guy comes to the store and he wants to buy something, but he knows this dealer doesn't know who he is. So he's probably going to try to take advantage. So he says, I want, phone. I have $500 to spend. I want a phone. I want a car. I want whatever I want. And the guy's going to tell him, oh, hey, we have this for sale, especially if you go to a used car lot. For sure, they're thieves. Hey, you want a car? Here, good deal, $500. The buyer says, nah, it's no good. It's no good. I don't want this. So the guy says, oh, it's no good? Okay, gives him another option. Okay, what about this one? This one's a good deal. Steal. I honestly, I can't believe I'm giving it to you. I'm losing money on this one. Yeah, I love those. I'm losing money on this one. Why? You said that tzaddik, you lose money on every customer? How do you stay in business? Well, tzedakah? Said campaign? I'm losing money on this one. And he says, no, it's not for me. Not for me. It's no good. It's no good. And he says, no good, no good, no good. Shlomo Melech says, no good, no good. And eventually the seller gets so frustrated. He's like, I already spent 3 hours with this guy. I gotta make a sale. So finally, what does he do? He gives him the best stuff. He goes, here's this one. Okay, take this one. Okay, I'll take it. And now the buyer goes home and says, I got the best stuff. I got the best stuff. Where the buyer says, it's bad, but on his way home, he boasts, I got the best stuff. The Gaon Mivilna says, this is how a person needs to do with his own mitzvot. He has to evaluate his own Torah, his own mitzvot, and his own character traits the same exact way. In his quest for goals, a person can never be satisfied with what he's already done. Don't give anybody the accounting of all of the good things you did in your life. This is one of the worst habits people have. You meet them, and if you're in, I don't know, for whatever reason, people love to tell me about all of the 25 minutes, they tell me about every mitzvah that they've ever made in their life. It's almost like I feel like they're pitching me, but I don't know what I'm buying. Oh, I know Rabbi this one. Okay. Oh, I went to a lecture with Rabbi that one. Psh, wow. I donate to that Rabbi that one. Psh, amazing. I can't believe I'm talking to you. But my family built this place. Baruch Hashem. Baruch Hashem. I feel like I'm talking to Moshe Rabbeinu. No, you're a female. Miriam. I'm talking to her. And they tell you, and they go on and on and on about all the people they know, and all the mitzvot they did, and all the tzedakah they gave, and all the books they read, and all the rabbis they had, and all the students they had, and who cares? Who cares? You shouldn't care either, as the Gaon Mivilna says. You shouldn't care either. Why? Why are you content with what you did? You should look at what you have and always strive to improve by scrutinizing everything that you've done and saying it's bad, and demand higher from yourself. All the rabbis that I met, good, I need to meet more rabbis. All the tzedakah that I gave, it's good, I got to make more money so I can give more tzedakah. I got to become more generous. I gave 10% my whole life, I got to give 20 now. All the different prayers you made, not good. Why? I got to do better tomorrow. That's the neshama of a Jew. That's the neshama of a Jew. That's what a Jew is supposed to be in this world. That's what you're supposed to do. Strive for more. You do it for business, you got to do it with your neshama. It's much more important. That's why Kadosh Baruch Hu, He gave us different traits that come to people naturally. One of them is ambition. Ambition was only given to us in order to strive for more Torah, mitzvot, kindness, chesed. That's what we're supposed to use that ambition for. To make the next prayer better, to make the next tzedakah more generous, to make the next shiur, even longer, even better, even more precise, with more sources. Stay alert, stay awake, do all these different things even better. Never get content with where you are. Why? That's not the way it's supposed to be. It's not the way it's supposed to be. Look at it as I did it, bad, I gotta do better. Not depressed, like I'm never gonna do better. People say, oh yeah, but if I always think like that, then I'm just gonna be depressed. Good enough. That's a loser mentality. Saying bad doesn't mean like you actually made a sin, like your mitzvah is a sin. Meaning, I can do better. I can do better. Just like I strive for more when it comes to other things, I gotta do better with serving Hashem. Now, the Ramchal has an entire chapter discussing this. We'll go over some of the things in this chapter. And he says that in chapter 3 of Mesilat Yesharim, he says there are two methods that are necessary for one who wishes to oversee his conduct. On one hand, he must ponder what constitutes a true good deed that a person should do, and one that he has to evaluate what is a true evil that he should run away from. Meaning, the first step the person needs to do when it comes to self-accounting, when it comes to cheshbon nefesh, is first and foremost, you have to know the difference between good and bad. Now, as a human being, You have the ability to determine it once you know what it is. Most people don't know what it is. And the reason why is because they determine what it is based on whether they benefit or lose from it. Not whether the Creator determined this good or bad. Now, for example, if, let's say, a woman says to you, like this tragic video that was sent to me, a woman comes to a clinic and she says, listen, I got this thing in my stomach. It's really bothering me. My husband says it looks terrible. And I need a doctor to help me. How? I need you to remove this thing for me. I need you to help me. Give me a little surgery. I'll pay money. I'll pay cash. Don't need insurance. Whatever you need. I need you to take care of this. Why? It's bothering me. Now, the doctor now, it's his business. That's his business to help people. Now, if he says yes, does that make him a good doctor or a bad doctor? That's your question. Good or bad?
What do you mean? Is it like a fat operation? Or
Based on just what I gave you. If I wanted to give you more information, I give you more information. Based on the information that I gave you. If the doctor performs his job, this is his job. She didn't go to him because he's a shoe salesman. She went to him because he's an expert in this stuff. She says, I got something that's bothering me. And it's ruining my marriage. And I can't stand it. And it looks horrible. Can you help me out by removing it? Doctor says yes. Is he a good doctor? Doctor says no. Is he a bad doctor? No?
So far, so good.
So far, so good. Chazaku Baruch. Smart boy. So far, so good. If he says yes, he's a good doctor. Now, if we find out the hidden fact I haven't told you, which is that this is an 8.5-month pregnancy. It's 100% a real baby. There's not a goo, it's not an amoeba, it's not a reptile. It's 100% a living baby. You take that baby out right now, it's living a full life. But states like Colorado and other states in this awful Edom that we live in, that has these rules, but unfortunately many other countries also, allow for doctors to murder these babies even at 8.5 months. Why? Because it's bothering the girl. It's bothering the guy. It's bothering somebody, and the doctor it doesn't bother him to murder. Now, if you took that baby out, and he's crying, and he's cute, you put a little diaper on him, put a little t-shirt on him, he's so cute, but then the doctor comes and says, I don't like this baby, let me chop it. Let me see how it looks. What is that now? That's murder. So how come it's not murder when it's inside our belly? That's human logic. Human logic cannot determine good and bad. Cannot determine good and bad. Because we look at it based on, do we benefit, do we lose? She's going to look at it as this is good. Why? It's bothering me. So it's good for me to kill this baby. I don't look at it as a baby because he didn't come out yet. The doctor says, this is fantastic. I'm a few $1,000s today. I could go after that vacation after all. For him, it's also good. But to anyone looking at it with a clear lenses that understands what God wants from us in this world, we view it as the worst thing you can possibly do. You're murdering a little baby that never did nothing to anybody. At least in this world. That's why, Rabotai, the Ramchal starts this chapter with this. He says the first thing, if you want to do evaluation, you have to know what's good and bad based on the Creator's opinion. Because He's the only one that can tell you for sure, with no bias whatsoever, what's always good and what's always bad. What's always good and bad. And that's why He gave us the Torah. Now, once a person starts to evaluate their own deeds, the Ramchal says that he has to look at them, he has to look at the things that he didn't do, he has to look at the things that he did do, based on whether they conflict with the Creator's mitzvot and laws, his statutes. Because anything that conflicts with what the Creator says, he must eradicate like you would have a mitzvah of eradicating Amalek, which we also learn from this week's Parashat B'Shalach, at the end of the parasha. If what you're doing contradicts what Hashem says to do, you must remove it from your life immediately. Like it's a plague, like it's cancer, like it's AIDS, like it's murder, like it's whatever you think is bad. You think that drug addicts is bad? Okay, eradicate it like a drug addiction. You think that murder is bad? Eradicate it like murder is bad. Whatever you think is bad, if you're doing something that's against the Creator, you have to remove it from your life. You have to chop it up. There is no leniency here. You have to be lenient with others, stringent with yourself. Have to be. Because if you're not, if you're constantly lenient with yourself, what ends up happening is that you end up turning the sins into mitzvot. Now he has to survey all of his deeds, oversee all of his ways in order to remove any bad tendency or trait, let alone a sin or a transgression. It's also necessary that a person is meticulous in his way and in his ways and weighs them daily, just like a merchant will. But when he does the accounting now, there's the next level. What's the next level? He has to do what the prophets told us. Bo lecheshbon. Come and do an accounting. The sages tell us in Gemara Masechet Bava Batra, page 78b. Says, come do cheshbon. Come do an accounting. What kind of accounting? Now, come and do an accounting on your sins, and don't just evaluate the sin. Just, okay, you did a sin, you wasted seed, you stole, you cheated, whatever you did, okay. Now, that's not enough. You got to look at it the way God looks at it. How does God look at it? God looks at it as that not only did he do something against me, but with that time, he could have actually done a mitzvah, something for me. Hashem doesn't look only at the sin. He looks at what was wasted as a result of it. What did you miss out of? Oh, instead of coming to shul, he went and watched a movie. And then led him to sin. So not only did he sin by going to a movie, by going to a game, by watching some type of other filth, but on top of it, he missed out on the shul Torah that every second is a mitzvah. That's the way God looks at it. Once a person looks at it from that perspective, it becomes a little more difficult to commit the sins. Because you think it's not worth it. I want to go to the game. I want to eat that burger. That's not kosher. I want to go with that girl. That's not this. I want to do that. I want to do all. Everybody wants to do sins. That's what Rabban Gamliel says. Gemara Masechet Menachot. Don't ever say you don't want to eat pig. It's not true. You want to eat pig. It's delicious. But you have to say, what is it? What could I do that my Father in heaven says is not allowed? That's why I'm not eating it. Not because it's disgusting. Taste-wise, I don't know. People told me it's delicious. I'm sure they're right. Reality is, I'm not allowed. That's why I don't eat it. So a person has to look at, wait a minute, I want to make this sin. But now, God's going to look at it as not only did I go against him with the sin, but on top of it, with that money that I spent on this sin, with the resources, with the energy, stuff that I put into this sin, I could have used all of that for a mitzvah. Now, instead of taking another shot of heroin, I could have used that few $100 to, I don't know, maybe help a Jew do tshuva. I could have bought another sefer for myself to learn from. Instead of eating that non-kosher burger, I could have actually bought a kosher burger. Or maybe a little less because it's a little more expensive. But the point is, I could have done something else. That's the way God looks at it. He looks at the entire picture. And that's the way we have to look at it. Because if you look at it, it becomes much, much, much easier to stay away from sins. Not the person doesn't sin anymore. But once a person starts thinking this way, already your desire to sin, the big sins, drops dramatically. Because now you're thinking about it. You're thinking about the whole equation. The problem is, Rabotai Karim, is that Shlomo HaMelech says that unfortunately there are many people that are blind. They're so blind, it's like they walk in darkness. And he says in Mishle, chapter 4, verse 19, the Ramchal quotes him, he says that fools walk confidently, stumbling and perishing, without any prior awareness or fear. As it says, the path of the wicked is like darkness. They know not what they stumble. He says some people are so ignorant, they don't even ask themselves, what's the consequence of my crime? They don't even ask themselves, what's the consequence of me going against Hashem? They just, do whatever they got to do. I'm going to live life. Let me live. You live, live and let live. You know, that expression that people have. When you tell them the truth and you try to rebuke them to change their... Listen, you worry about your life, I'll worry about mine. I am worrying about your life, and I'm worrying about mine also. Problem is, you're not worrying about yours. Because you're just living like a fool, it's blind. Not thinking about tomorrow, you're thinking about today. He says that the fool is filled with transgression, but yet he feels secure. The guy is driving on Shabbat to Beit Knesset, and you tell him, listen, you know you're not allowed to drive on Shabbat? Listen, buddy, if I wasn't allowed to drive on Shabbat, would God give me a Ferrari? If I wasn't allowed to drive on Shabbat, would everybody do it as soon as I walk into the Beit Knesset? Would the Rabbi give me Aliyah? If I wasn't allowed to drive on Shabbat, he walks in, says, you know, hello to everyone. I remember this one guy, every time he walked into Beit Knesset, he would give a kiss to every person. You know, he was like a Sephardi guy, so, you know, it's tradition to kiss people. Not in Beit Knesset, though. But he made a chumrah. He had a rule. He comes, he wants to make sure everybody knows he's there. He comes, he kisses you, hugs you, shakes your hand. A whole ordeal. Doesn't matter where you are, you're praying, you're not praying. Doesn't make a difference. You need to know he's here. Nice guy. Michal Shabbat. Michal Shabbat sends to the Beit Knesset group pictures of him being on the beach with his wife. No one says a thing. Why? Why would they say anything? Why would they say anything? To him, it's perfectly fine. He's perfectly confident. He's secure. You know how many people like this there are? Countless. I saw a video today of a person like this. Someone sent me a video of this guy that constantly has videos about defending Eretz Yisrael's right to defend itself, which obviously we don't necessarily need anyone doing videos to tell us we have a right to defend ourselves, but you want to do it, do it. I don't know if you actually think it helps people to realize you have a right to live. Anyway, he says that although he is secular, he doesn't keep Torah and mitzvot. He wouldn't mind if they started teaching Torah lessons in regular schools, public schools in Israel. He wouldn't mind if they told him to tefillin. He wouldn't mind if they told him to have a class about Gemara. He wouldn't mind if there was a little bit of Torah in their life where they at least knew how to say Kaddish when their parents died. He wouldn't mind. Like, it's not. Why is that such a problem? Because he says our ancestors, valued the Torah so much, they died for it. So I wouldn't mind. Now people are sending this like this is a chizuk. Like this is, wow, chazaku baruch, for standing up for the Torah, even though you're secular. You know what the truth is? The only reason why people are so secular are because of people like him. But it's not even his fault. He doesn't know that he's at fault. Why is it not? He doesn't know that it's a consequence of going against the Torah. No one ever told him there's Gehenna. No one ever told him there's hell. No one ever told him that tragedy comes to Am Yisrael only when we sin. No one ever told him that. So he thinks he's doing good. And other people that are just as ignorant about him are sending this clip around, also thinking that they're good, not realizing that this is the mentality that's the worst mentality in the world. It's better the person be completely on the left than to have such a mentality. Why? Because at least you can define what's good and bad. Here, it looks good, but it's really bad. That's what the Ramchal is trying to tell us. The fools walk blindly, but yet they feel secure. He thinks he's doing a mitzvah. The people that are sending this video think he's doing a mitzvah. Why? You're not keeping yourself, but you're saying you don't mind it because you think it's a good thing. There's no such thing. Either the Torah is from God or it's from Buddha. Either it's from God or it's from Yoshki. Either it's from God or it's from your local 7-Eleven. There's no other option. If it's from 7-Eleven, Buddha, Yoshki, or anybody else, why do you follow any of it? Who cares what these people said? If it's from God, how dare you even think that you are allowed to sin, that you are allowed to go against it, and worse yet, do it openly as if it's not such a bad thing. It's like not only did you cheat on your wife, but you put it on the internet to let everybody know. And you still expect her to stay married to you. I mean, the audacity, it's unbelievable how stupid people are. But that's what happens. When you never learn the truth for what it is. When people sell you Torah based on only reward, where if you keep it, you go to heaven, but if you don't, not such a big deal. That's the mentality that it creates. It creates a mentality where you think, if I do it, I go to heaven. If not, not such a big deal. So therefore, I choose not to keep it, and I'll live heaven here. But that's why one of the 13 principles of faith in the Torah is heaven and hell, or Gehenna. Or a lot of other names, 7 other names for Gehenna if you want. Be'er Shachat, you have a wonderful name, Sheol, wonderful place in Gehenna. That's why we teach it that way. That's why reward and punishment is one of the foundations of Judaism. Without knowing there's a consequence for our actions, we will naturally do the wrong thing. Naturally, because there's no consequence. So the Ramchal continues, he says, the worst part, the worst type of error, the worst type of blind person is not just a person who doesn't know, but a person that actually interprets the information wrong. It's not that he's blind, he sees a little bit, but he can't make out what he sees, so he thinks it's something else. He says that's much worse. It's much more evil because they see the beneficial and the good as if it was harmful. And they see the harmful as if it's good. That's a much worse stage of blindness and of error. Not only do they lack the ability to see the truth and perceive the evil that's before them, they also think that they can find analytical proof and concrete evidence to draw from life to support their evil ideas and their deceitful options, their deceitful opinions. This is the overpowering evil that embraces them and carries them to the abyss, aka Be'er Shachat, aka Gehenom. That's what the Ramchal says. They can't even see the truth even if you help them. And they'll even tell you, I can find you proof there's no God. I can find you proof that God says that homosexuality is not such a bad thing. I can find you proofs that you can do whatever you want. You can abort babies. You can do this. You can do that. He said it's pikuach nefesh, right? You're allowed to abort a baby if the mother's at risk, right? If the mother's at risk, you're allowed to abort a baby because her life comes before the baby. Allowed. So he's going to tell you, listen, she's not really dying like what you think, but God never described how dying really is. Maybe she's dying, spiritually. Maybe she's dying emotionally. Maybe she's depressed. Maybe her marriage will die, and she's afraid of that. Maybe she thinks the baby's really not healthy, and therefore the baby's going to die anyway, so therefore she might as well kill it already early. That's what the Reshaim do. they'll give you things and they'll say, oh, this is my evidence. This is my evidence. See? They'll interpret the Torah the way they want. This is very dangerous. It's dangerous because we can do it also and not even know that we're doing it if we're not honest with ourselves. Now, he continues and he says, the way to get out of this, the way to get out of this spiritual prison is to follow what Isaiah says in chapter 6 verse 10. The heart of this people has become fleshy and their ears heavy and their eyes covered shut, lest they see with their eyes and with their ears they hear, and their hearts will understand. And the Ramchal says, all of this is because these people are living in darkness. People are sinning and they're not willing to see, they're not willing to hear, because they're sinning and they've become slaves to their evil inclination. So how can they get out of it? Isaiah says, follow those that have already left this spiritual prison and know the truth of these matters completely, because they are capable of advising others. And the Ramchal gives us one of the sources where he says, if you want to know how to overcome your Yetzirah, how to overcome this warped logic that you've learned in public school and in universities and on the internet, you have to listen to somebody that overcame the same Yetzirah you have. Why? He was also in prison and he found a way out. That means he knows the way. You can't go and listen to someone who never got out. Why? How is he going to help you? You cannot ask, somebody that never went to prison, how do I break out of this prison? He doesn't know. Who are you going to ask? You're going to ask the guy that broke out of the prison. And the Ramchal says you have to learn from the Baal Tshuva. You have to learn from somebody that knows how. Or someone that's a real Talmid Chacham. Because a real Talmid Chacham also learns the same things, not because he needs to escape out of this prison, but he needs to help others. Chacham learns all subjects. Things that are relevant to him and things that are relevant to others. That's why the Shas, the Gemara, covers all subjects, including things that thieves can use in order to steal better. It even teaches that. Why? Because we need to know what the thief is thinking. So we know how to stop it. And he says, one who walks along these paths is not capable of seeing or knowing at all if he's taking the right route or he's taking a mistaken one, since they all look the same to him from his perspective. Unless by prior experience and a keen eye, having been there once before, he knows the route. Now, one who stands on the gazebo, meaning as if like you're on a maze, and sees all of the paths that are before him, sees how the maze is, sees where the openings are, and discerns the correct ones from the false ones, is capable of forewarning those who are walking through them as we speak, telling him, this is the route, take this one, take that one. Any person willing to place his trust in such an individual that has experienced this and got out of it will reach the designated place. And one who is not willing to listen to such a person and follows his own eyes instead will surely remain lost and fail to reach it. So here we see, Rabotai, that there is a extraordinary teaching here where it talks about how there's a major advantage from learning from people like Resh Lakish, who was a major Baal Tshuva, or Rabbi Akiva, who was a Baal Tshuva, and obviously many others in this generation, thousands of years later, because their understanding of the Yitzhara is to the same level or even more extensive level than the average person, because they dealt with it also, but they overcame it. Now, with all of that, why did we really review all of this? Because this, Rabotai, is the foundational teachings that a person needs to know as a Jew or as a Gentile, because this is the reason for all of your problems. We have countless teachings in the Torah that tell us that it's a principle of our faith, where the Ramban talks about it, the Rambam talks about it, the Rabbi Yonah talks about it. Many sages discuss this and say that the principle of our faith is that everything that befalls a person, whether to his benefit or to his detriment, is decreed by heaven in accordance to his deeds. Meaning that there's no such thing as you getting hurt if you don't deserve to. There's no such thing as you losing if you don't deserve to lose. There's no such thing as a person dying and they don't deserve to die. And you can say, wait, but he was such a nice guy. No problem, he probably is a nice guy. But God says he deserves to XYZ. He deserves for that stuff to happen to him. So when someone says that, oh, such and such just lost all of his money, you're not supposed to say, oh, he deserved it. That's a horrible character trait. You're not supposed to make fun of people. You can think it in your heart that this is what we learned. He deserves it. We don't know why. It's not your business why he lost it. But the point is, you're not necessarily supposed to ever think for a second that it's allowed for you to say, oh, why did God do this to him? He was such a good guy, as if God's wrong. Why is God doing this to me? As if God's wrong. You can ask, why is God doing this to me? Or why is he doing it to him? To uncover what the problem is and fix it, but never for a second think that God makes mistakes. When people say, oh, where was God during the Holocaust? 6 million Jews died. If you're asking it in the perspective, oh, what can we do to avoid it again, from happening again, which the answer is to do tshuva, then that's a good question. Where was God during the Holocaust? Oh, he's the one that did it. Okay, so how do we stop doing it? How do we stop it from happening again? By doing tshuva. Okay, Baruch Hashem. But if you're asking that question, where was God during the Holocaust? Like, I can't believe he did it. That's a problem. That's a very serious problem. Because in essence, you are, standing putting yourself on a stage, like an idol, as if you're right and God's wrong. If you think God was wrong for killing 6 million Jews, you have a very serious problem with God. If you think that anything that God ever did is wrong, you have a very, very serious problem with God. This is why we speak against certain people that give people the, at least the thought, if not the complete outright lies that they say, as if that can even be implied. That God can be wrong. Because if God can be wrong, that he's fallible, he's flawed. If he's flawed, why are we worshiping him at all? So, when a person evaluates their actions, it leads to a lot of solutions. So the Gemara in Masechet Brachot, in page 5a, says that if a person sees that they have afflictions befalling them, they have all types of suffering in their life, they lost money, divorce, health issues, whatever kind of suffering people have, he should investigate his deeds, like we just talked about for the last hour, to determine which sin he may have made that would cause such suffering. As it says by the prophet in Jeremiah says in Micha, in Lamentations 340, let us search and examine our ways and return to Hashem. But what if he examined his deeds, the Gemara says, and he didn't find anything? He looked at his actions, can't find nothing. He says, I give tzedakah, I keep Shabbat, I'm nice to my wife, I send my kids to a good yeshiva, I'm modest, my wife's modest, everything. Why is God doing this to me? Why did He just give me a pain in my leg, a pain in my this, a pain in my what? What's going on? God, what's going on? I got problems. God, what's going on? Rabbi, tell me what's going on. You talk to God all the time, don't you? No? What does He say to you? Did He mention my name? So Gemara says, you got problems. Review them. Search your ways. Search for a sin. You didn't find any sins. Itlab bitul Torah. You should attribute these afflictions to a neglect of Torah study. Why you have all these problems? You're not studying enough Torah. That's the first answer. There's several. That's the first answer the Gemara says. If you got problems, and you don't know why, because you reviewed all your actions, everything looks kosher, but that's to you. You look like an angel. You should really be put in Olam Haba right now with your clothes on. So the Gemara says, so if you have suffering, that's because you're not studying enough Torah. But then the Gaon Mivina comes, and he says, wait a minute, hold on a second. How could it be? How could it be he couldn't find anything wrong with him, so he should rely on the fact that he just made one of the biggest sins in the entire Torah, Bitul Torah, not studying enough Torah. Not studying enough Torah is one of the worst things you could possibly do. It's like God wrote you a love letter, and you say, God, give it to somebody else, do me a favor. God wrote you a love letter, toiled over it with black fire on white fire, made sure that generation after generation of people survive. Moshe Rabbeinu, Yaron, a Kohen, David, Shlomo, all these sages, all these people, good people, bad people, wars, pogroms, inquisitions. Why? So you, 3,330 years later, and you're finally going to have this love letter from God personally to you. And what do you say? God, do me a favor, give it to somebody else. I don't have time for this. I got work. I got to go make some money. I got to go on a date. I got to watch the TV. I got to watch the game. God, do me a favor. Not for me. Not for me. The Torah says, saying such a thing, not studying enough Torah, is one of the worst things you could possibly do. One of the worst things. So how could you not find something, and yet you are, going to rely on the worst thing? Might as well just talk out, listen, you didn't find anything wrong? Okay, so rely on murder. You probably murdered someone. Wait a minute, if I murdered somebody, I would know. No, it's not murder. Okay, so rely on the fact that you just violated Shabbat on purpose. You drove. No, if I violated Shabbat on purpose, I would know. Okay, rely if you cheat on your wife. Wait a minute, if I cheat on my wife, I would know. So the Gaon Mivina says, what does he really mean here? Attributed these afflictions to lack of Torah study. He says, it has to be lack of Torah study. Because if you didn't find anything wrong with your actions, for sure you did not study enough Torah to even know that what you're doing is wrong. You don't know anything. That's why you think that what you're doing is right, when in reality it's wrong. So of course that's a sin, and there's many other sins. But you don't know that the other things are sins because you don't know anything. You're a donkey with two legs. You came to the world, you'll leave the world the same thing. Nothing changed. Bank account went up, bank account went down. You drank some coffee, you ate some steak. You worked to make some money so you could eat. You ate so you could have energy so you could work. And then you went back and you worked again to make some money so you could eat. And then you ate so you could have some energy so you could work. And you worked to eat and you ate to work. And you worked to eat and you ate to work. And same thing like a donkey. That's what a donkey does his whole life. You ever see a donkey go on vacation? No. You ever see a donkey say, listen, I want retirement? No. Donkey complain about anything? No one understands him anyway. Like you, no one understands you when you complain. Nobody cares. So you came into the world, you ate, you worked, you ate, you worked, you ate, you worked, you don't know anything to work, donkey. The Gaon Mivina says his failure to learn Torah surely is the reason why he doesn't know why he makes sense. Because if he knew Torah, he would know for sure a lot of things that he can do better. What about the ladies? some people think that the ladies are not obligated to learn Torah. This is a mistake. Women are obligated to learn Torah every single day, just not the same Torah. They're not supposed to learn Gemara, they're not supposed to learn the Mishnah. But they are obligated to learn Musar. They are obligated to learn the basics of how to keep Shabbat, how to keep the holidays, how to educate the kids. Because if she doesn't, how's she going to know? How's she going to know if she's keeping Shabbat and she doesn't know how to keep Shabbat? How's she going to know how to, to cook kosher food if she doesn't know what kosher food is, b'chlal? You're relying for her to cook for you, and she doesn't know the kashrut laws. You're probably in taref. Who knows? What are you going to ask her every time she made you a salad? Oh, listen, honey, did you wash it 15 times? Did you wash it 4 times? Did you wash it 2 times? Did you wash it at all? Or you just put it directly on my plate, fresh, with the bugs in it and everything? I should say shakol instead of adama on this, because the bugs are shakol. If she doesn't know that she's supposed to wash it and salt it and take the bugs out, she doesn't know the kosher law. She doesn't know that if you eat 1 bug, it's like you ate pig 6 times. Bugs are worse than pigs. If she doesn't know, how can she be in charge of the kitchen? If she doesn't know the laws of tarat mishpacha, which is the most important rule in a marriage, she doesn't know whether she needs to count 4 days, 5 days, 8 days, 20 days, 30 days. She just goes to the mikveh whenever she feels like it. You could have a bunch of kids that are Baalei Nida, people from Nida. Kids of Nida, and you're surprised that your kid has 18 earrings and 14 holes. Kid comes out a gangster with a gun out of it. What happened? Where's this kid come from? Oh, I don't know. Nida. That's what happens. Instead of going to yeshiva, he wants to go to all types of places that are not exactly kosher. A woman is obligated to learn Torah for the things that are relevant to her. She doesn't need to learn Gemara. She doesn't need to learn Mishnah. But she needs to know the basics. How to keep a kosher house, how to keep Shabbat, how to keep the holidays, how to do certain things in order to fulfill her role in the world. Married or single. This is also why it's highly recommended for women to also come to Shiur Torah. Find a babysitter, go to Shiur Torah at least once a week. Don't just rely on going to YouTube. If you have a good Shiur Torah locally, go to a Shiur Torah. It's much more significant to go to a Shiur Torah than to watch one online. Now, if a woman or a man sees all types of suffering in their life, the Gemara says first and foremost because you're not learning enough Torah. You're making mistakes, you're making sins, you don't even know they're sins. So Hashem is punishing you for them. He's punishing you for those sins that you're making. And therefore you got suffering. Now, Rashi says that we also have another answer. The Gemara continues where it says that if he couldn't find any reason to attribute these sufferings towards, he didn't find anything, then maybe he could say this is the afflictions of love. These suffering is coming to me is because God loves me. God loves me, so that's why he's suffering. Why? Because there are several different places in the Torah where we see that God gives suffering to those he loves for a few different reasons. Number one, if a person is very righteous, he's doing good, he's doing tshuva, but he still makes mistakes. He's a normal human being. Everybody makes mistakes. But those mistakes, those sins are shogeg. They're accidental sins. They're not on purpose. So Hashem says, listen, I love you so much, my dear daughter. I love you so much, my dear son. I don't want you to go to Gehinnom. But there's a bill to pay. You made a bunch of mistakes. There's a bill to pay. I can't just say, oh no, he didn't make any sins. Can't pretend. In Bet Din Shamayim, they review everything. So since I love you so much, and you're doing so good, you're not committing any purposeful sins. You're watching your breath, you're watching your eyes, you're watching this, you're doing everything right, but you make mistakes here and there. So because I love you, I'm going to clean you up while you're in this world. So I'll give you a little bit of suffering. Instead of giving you, 5 years in Gehenom for that sin, I'm going to give you, you're going to break your nail. It's going to hurt for, a day and a half, 2 days. Instead of giving you 10 years in Gehenom for that sin, remember that sin you did? Okay, remember that? Okay, instead of that, that $5,000 raise you were supposed to get, you're not going to get it. You're really upset, you're not going to get it. But I promise you, you'll be happy you didn't get it. Why? It's much better than 10 years in Gehenom. So Hashem gives us all types of sufferings because He loves us. Why? Because we're making a bunch of accidental sins. So He says, I'm going to clean you up in this world. That's one reason. It's one reason. Another reason, Rashi says, is that Hashem wants to elevate a person to a higher place in Olam Haba than what their merits would give them otherwise. He has a certain amount of merits. He learns an hour, 2 hours a day. He does whatever he possibly can do. But Hashem He likes him so much. He likes us so much. Says, you know what? What your merits are going to pay for is the first level of Gan Eden. First level of Gan Eden. But I don't want you to be in the first level of Gan Eden. I want you to be in level 6. I want you to be in level 5. I want you to be even in level 2. Now, I can't just, decide, hey, group discount, throw this guy in also. I can't do that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to give you some suffering. You're going to accept that suffering with love. You're going to overcome this suffering, still stick with me. That is going to be as meritorious as all of the good things that you're doing. You're going to enter Gan Eden level 2, level 3, level 4, level 5. That's reason number 2. The Rashi also says that there are certain people that also get this afflictions of love, where Hashem says there's the Pnei Yoshua actually suggests that even though Hashem runs this world based on reward and punishment, based on justice, based on emet, and a person that makes sins must be punished for his sins, a person that makes mitzvot needs to be rewarded for these mitzvot, there are exceptions in his rule book. There are exceptions in his rule book. What type of an exception, if you will? Where there are certain types of people where Hashem knows that this person is a new Baal Tshuva. This person's only been religious for 5, 6, 7 years. And if Hashem gives him the suffering that he really deserves for things that he did, he knows he's going to break him. And that guy is going to get off the derech. He's going to go off. He's going to go back to the Goya. He's going to go back to being a gambler. He's going to go back doing a bunch of bad things. And Hashem doesn't want to break him. But the problem is there's still an outstanding pay. There's a bill that's owed. You can't just ignore the bill. You can't ignore the bill. The bill has to be paid. But Hashem, in His infinite wisdom, knows if He gets this guy to pay the bill, if He gets this girl to pay the bill that they owe, they're going to break him. He's going to break them. And what's going to happen is they're going to turn into heretics again. So Hashem, in His infinite wisdom, says, okay, someone to pay the bill. He can't afford it. He can't afford to pay the bill. It's going to break him. She can't afford it. If she pays the bill, it's going to break her. Since Hashem promised us that He's never going to give us a test that we can't pass, but yet we still have to pay the bill, what does He do? He says there's a tzaddik. There's a tzaddik somewhere in the world that he is on a very high level, and any suffering that he gets, he accepts with love. He accepts it with love. He says, Hashem, thank you very much for making me suffer. I appreciate it, Hashem. I know you're cleaning me up. I know I did this. Thank you, Hashem. Thank you. He says thank you for suffering like we say thank you like we won the lotto. So Hashem says, I'm going to give the suffering to him. I'm going to give the suffering to him. He's going to accept the suffering with love. He's going to go even to a much higher Gan Eden. And that way the bill's paid. That's what the 36 tzaddikim, 36 nistarim, it's part of their role in the world, if you will. There are others as well, but the point is that sometimes you see that there's a very righteous person suffering. Quite frankly, it's very rare to see a righteous person not suffer. Whether you look in the Torah or you look in the real world. You look at the Torah, there's not one righteous person that didn't suffer. Jeremiah, the prophet Jeremiah, cursed the day he was born because of how much he was suffering. How much torture Am Yisrael put him through. They tried raping him. Imagine, you're the Baba Sali. You are Rav Ovadia. You are the Stipler Gaon. You're coming to people and tell them, listen, you gotta do tshuva. What do? These disgusting, filthy people? They try to rape him. Can you imagine such a thing? God willing, you can't. But that's what he had to go through. He cursed the day he was born. That's how much suffering he went through. And he still tried to help everybody. He still tried to help them do tshuva. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. But Mikdash was destroyed. But, Rabotai, the suffering that he went through might as well be Genom. Moshe Rabbeinu. Does anybody know anything about Moshe Rabbeinu? How much suffering Moshe Rabbeinu had? I'll give you an example. Imagine Moshe Rabbeinu just broke you out of prison. You were in prison, no end sentence. You are going to get life in prison forever. That's it, never going out. On top of it, slavery. On top of it, you may not even make it. They're going to kill you in there or chop off some body parts. Have fun with them. All types of fun stuff. He broke you out of prison, and better yet, he broke your wife out of prison also. He saved her. And he helped her do tshuva. He helped you do tshuva. He helped the whole shidduch go through. That's a good thing, right? That's what he did.
With millions and millions of people. What did they do to him? Moshe, why'd you break out my wife? What, you want my wife? You have your eye on my wife? Why are you looking at my wife? Why are you talking to my wife? All of them started accusing Moshe Rabbeinu, Ish Elokim, the holiest man that ever walked on this earth. The only person that spoke to God face to face, like you and I are speaking right now, not seeing an image, but rather speaking like right now. They accused them of wanting their wives. Why? Because they noticed that the wives are listening to the Rabbi, Moshe, much more than they're listening to the husband. So they got jealous. They didn't like it so much. Not that I'm even the shoestring of a shoe of Moshe Rabbeinu, but that feeling I know a little bit. Why? Sometimes you see people, you help them out, you help their marriage out, but then the husband says, listen, stop talking to Rabbi Reuven. Why? I think you got something for you.
She says to him, what's something for me? He's in Florida. We are in Arkansas. I never saw the guy. No, I don't know. Something. People are psychotic. Why? Because the wife is asking halachic questions. You answer them. Oh, no. Psycho. That's what happened to Moshe Rabbeinu. If that's not bad enough, they accused him of wanting all of their money, trying to steal everybody's money. Take the money for the Beit HaMikdash, put it in his pocket. You should press the battery in the back, Sonny, the phone. It's dying. They accused them of trying to steal all the money. Moshe Rabbeinu, Eved Ne'eman karata lo. Hashem, you call them a loyal servant. Moshe Rabbeinu, they accused them of wanting wives. They accused them of wanting their money. Moshe cries to Hashem and says, Hashem, they didn't even pay me for my donkey to come to freedom from Egypt. I came on a donkey. They didn't even pay me for my. They didn't even pay for my airfare even. Nothing, not even gas. They didn't pay me, but they're blaming me for wanting their money, wanting their wives, and wanting everything. So sometimes there's a righteous person in the world that Hashem has, and God shifts the onus of punishment that's meant for the average people onto the righteous people. who will bear it with love. Since the righteous person who is afflicted for this reason is suffering on behalf of others, and he's credited with reward that is consequently taken from people. This is in Derech Hashem, chapter 2, 3:8. So now, this explains a lot, because sometimes you're going to see a righteous person suffering. Why is this person that learned so much Torah, doing so many mitzvot, suffering? What kind of sins does he even have time to make? He's learning Torah all day. It could be it's not even his sins. The Derech Hashem says it could be it's not even his sins he's suffering. It could be he's suffering for your sins. It could be he's suffering for somebody else's sins. That's actually where the Christians got the demented idea for their God, for their idol, Joshke. Oh, he's suffering for our sins, he died for our sins, all that nonsense. Any idea that has any validity whatsoever, or even a remote validity, has to come from Judaism. But they've turned that into idolatry. We're talking about righteous people, people flesh and blood. They go to Gan Eden, they die, and so on. Now, the Ran in Rashot Derush 10 says that even a person who observes all of the mitzvot and doesn't sin might never feel some desire for pleasure in this world. Now this inclination, even though it's a natural inclination, stands as a barrier between him and his full potential, his full spiritual potential. And in order to free him from this limitation, God will afflict him with suffering, which has the effect of distancing him from the pursuit of this world and muting their siren call. God sees how hard you're working on serving him. But he knows you have a desire to go to a casino. He knows you have a desire to go play some cards. So what does he do? He takes all your money away. That way, you can't go to the casino. You can't go to the casino broke. What are they going to do? What are you going to do? They just look at everybody? He knows you want to go, but you're trying to serve him at the same time. But you want to go, but you're trying to serve him. You're trying to go. So what he just takes all your money. That way you can't afford to go. Can't afford to go. He knows you want to go play football. He knows you want to play football. You love the game, but it's only for exercise. No, I'm not going to. So he's doing, he breaks your leg. Breaks your leg. Why? No, that way you can't play. Meaning sometimes Hashem will do certain things in order to actually elevate you because you're already doing something good. To keep you away from your own Yetzirah. He's fighting for you. He's fighting for you. Lastly, the Tzlach says, a person who's weak and ill finds it more difficult to study Torah and perform mitzvot than someone who's strong and healthy. Therefore, their reward is greater. According, just like the Mishnah in Pirkei Avot says, chapter 5, verse 23, the reward is in proportion to the exertion. So this means that by suffering, bringing suffering on the righteous, God is increasing the opportunity for reward. Meaning, Abutai, that because Hashem knows that it's much more difficult to learn Torah if your back feels like there's like lava going in there instead of blood. He knows. Well, he's the one that put it there. He knows how difficult it is. God knows how difficult it is to learn Torah with a headache. God knows how difficult it is to learn when you have something hurts. Your financial issues, marriage issues, health issues. God knows that it's difficult. And he's still going to give it to you. Why? He says, look, if you would study Torah with one leg over the other, drinking coffee, eating some bamba, okay, you're going to get a reward. You'll get your reward. You'll go to level 1. But if you study despite the headache, despite the financial crisis, despite the marriage crisis, despite the health crisis, you're going to learn Torah anyway. You're going to level 10. Why? Because it's that much more difficult. This is why, Rabotai, there are many stories in the Torah that some of the sages actually brought suffering on themselves. One of the famous stories in the Gemara is Rabbi Elazar ben Rabbi Shimon, the son of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. When he found out the value of suffering in this world, he was Mamash, Malach Hashem. Malach Hashem. He was a very big person, and he would eat enormous amounts of food in order to learn Torah for 30, 40, 50, 60 hours straight. Something that's not human. With full passion and fire. Now, one day somebody insulted him, and he questioned himself, maybe I deserve this, maybe I did something bad, maybe I impurified myself. So he checked it. How did he check it? The Gemara Bava Metzia says that he told his friends that, do me a favor, take some fat out of my body, because I want to see what happens to this fat. Are the flies going to go there? Are the maggots going to eat it? What's going to happen? Did I sanctify my body and make it holy, or is it just like everybody else? So you have a Gemara that specifically talks about the first liposuction in history. But the liposuction they're describing is something that's not even available today. They took 3 buckets of fat. You can't do that today. They had much more advanced technology in the Gemara 2,000 years ago than they have today. They took this out, and he put this, where did he put this? He put it on a roof. In Israel, over here on the top of the roof, where it's hot sun, just to see what happens. He comes back later on. Now, if you put a steak outside in Florida, within a matter of a few hours, that steak is not only bad, there's stuff coming out of it, maggots and all types of disgusting stuff. You're not eating this thing. Needless to say, if you put, fat of a person with the blood and everything else, within a half a second, there's enough flies to build a new city. He takes the buckets of fat, he leaves it there, they come back later on, I think it was the next day or a few days later, not a single fly. The fat is still fresh like they just took it out of his body. So this is how holy he was. Just you imagine who this person is. He found out how valuable suffering is. So every night, he would pray to Hashem to bring suffering on himself. Don't try this at home. I promise you, you'll get suffering without praying for it. You're alive, you'll get suffering. You don't have to pray for it. He was at a much higher stage than we can even imagine. He prayed for suffering to come on him. You know what kind of suffering came on him? Do you guys remember when I told you that I went to the hospital for an abscess, or 2 abscesses, or 3 abscesses? Remember I told you that? I went to the hospital, I was in pain, agony, surgeries, all types of fun things. His entire body was full of abscesses. Not one abscess. The entire body became like Job. They would have to change the bed sheets 60 times every single night because of all the pus and blood that would come out of his body throughout the whole night. And in the morning, he would tell them, my dear friends, go your way, I have to go learn Torah. And miraculously, he would heal. He would go learn Torah the whole day. And then at night, my dear friends, he called them. My dear friends, come, my dear friends. And he would have this agony and pain the whole night. Now his wife didn't know. One day his wife hears him pray for this agony and pain. And she says, you're doing it? You're praying for this? I wasted my entire inheritance on bed sheets for you. And you're the one that's wasting all of our money? If you don't stop it, I'm divorcing you. I'm leaving you. Rabbi Elazar ben Rabbi Shimon says to her, fine, no problem, you can leave. You want to leave? Leave. But I'm doing it for Hashem. I'm doing it to sanctify myself. She didn't understand, she left. Now surely, if you don't have a wife, you don't have somebody taking care of the house, your house is going to turn into a mess. Doesn't that take long? 24 hours, it looks like there was a Choban Bet HaMikdash. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu loves people that make sacrifices for Him. So he makes a hurricane happen in the middle of the ocean, right next to a ship full of businessmen. The ship is about to sink. The businessmen start screaming to Hashem, saying, God, please save us. If you save us, the next land that we see, we're going to stop there. We're going to find the biggest tzaddik over there. We'll give him all the money. We'll give all the money for Torah. In a second, the whole wind stopped. All of a sudden, everything is clear. And they see there's a beach right there. They stop at the beach. They go, who's the biggest tzaddik in town? Who's the Gadol Ador? Oh, Gadol Ador, no question. Rabbi Lazar ben Rabbi Shimon. His father was Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, wrote the Zohar, Kodesh Kodeshim. He saw somebody sinning, put him on fire in a second. Another guy made fun of Tiberia. He looked at him, he turned into bones. That's how holy he was. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai saw one person, made fun of him. Not that he wanted to kill him. He just thought, oh, he made fun of me, like it hurt him a little bit. Hashem says, what, somebody hurt you? He turned the guy into bones. Just turned the bones. That's it. Give it to your dog. Another guy was violating something, went on fire. Rabbi Lazar was not that much less. He was also at a high level. Also did such amazing things. They came in, they saw Rabbi Lazar, he's there. They went to his house, they see this mess. Blood everywhere, mess, there's all types of things. What? The Gadol Ador is living like this. They brought all types of cleaning people, turned the whole house into a castle. A little time passed by, a few months passed by. His wife missed him. So she sent her son, she says, listen, go to Abba and tell him, listen, I still love you and I'm willing to come back if you just please stop. So the son comes and he sees the house turn into a castle full of servants and people working there. And he says, Abba, what happened here? He goes, listen, when your mom left, my Father in heaven sent me other employees to help me. He helped me. She's supposed to be Ezer Kenegdo, supposed to help me. She's supposed to be my Chavruta. When she quit her job, Hashem sent me other employees, other helpers. But tell her I love her too and she can come back. She came back. She came back. This, Rabotai, a person who understands the value of suffering should not pray for it. Because like I told you, it'll come naturally. You won't have to pray for it. But this should give us a perspective a little bit, where if you have suffering, you have to thank Hashem. That's what the Gemara in Masechet Brachot says. You're supposed to thank Hashem for the suffering as much as you thank Hashem for the reward. Because even the suffering is good for you. It's good for you. Now one of the ways that you can understand, and I can understand, from looking at our own perspective. Now, since we all believe in the 13 principles of faith, we all know that there is no suffering without sin. Whether you sinned today, or you sinned 10 years ago, or you even sinned in your previous carnation, previous life. Whatever sin, whatever suffering you have in this world, it's coming for a reason. This life, past life, doesn't make a difference. Most of us, it's for this life. We're making enough sins. Point is, suffering's coming for a reason. Right? Hashem doesn't just do nothing for no reason. He's not having a good time with you. Now, we complain to Hashem because we don't like this suffering. We don't like not having money. We don't like not having a spouse. We don't like not having kids. We don't like having health problems. We don't like not having whatever it is that we don't have. We don't like having these problems, right? So we think that Hashem is shortchanging us. But Hashem is saying in His Torah, not only am I not shortchanging you, I'm actually giving you the best thing that you can possibly have. How is that possible? Your perspective is so far from Hashem. You're saying, Hashem, why are you doing this to me? It's not fair that I don't have any money. It's not fair I don't have this, I don't have that. It's not fair. And Hashem says, what I gave you is actually the best thing in the world for you. How can you be so far apart? That's because we only think as a human and God thinks like God. We have a limited perspective, He has an unlimited perspective. And I'll give you a little bit of light of what that means. We're thinking that whatever sins we have, it doesn't necessarily deserve this punishment. Okay, whatever I did is probably bad, but it doesn't deserve that I don't have any to pay rent for 3 months in a row. It doesn't deserve the punishment of my wife wanted to throw me out. It doesn't deserve that the kid happened this and something happened to the kid. It doesn't deserve all these things. We're thinking from our perspective, it's not such a big deal. I deserve to be rich. I deserve to be successful. I deserve to have this, and this. God, on the other hand, says, not only are you wrong, where it is a big deal, but also, even worse, there's a bunch of other sins you owe me on. So now, what does that mean? Your options are no longer the options you think you have. Meaning, you no longer have the options of being rich. That's an option, but not for you. You no longer have the option of marrying this girl or this guy. That's an option, but not for you. What options are now available to you? The options that are available to you are now based on these actions. Once you've turned, there's a road, there's a split road, let's say it's split into 10 ways. Once you took a right to the right road, the destination of the other 9 roads are no longer an option. You now have a whole new set of options because you took a right. By making a sin, by doing something, you now have a whole new set of options. And out of all of the options that are now available to you, this is the best one. What was available? Oh, hospital, death, the government putting you in jail for 20 years, your wife cheating on you, your kid, all types of horrible things. What'd you get? Oh, your foot broke. God says, out of all the options you deserved, I took the best one for you, because trust me, the other ones were much worse. The other ones that were available to you based on your actions were much, much worse than the one that I gave you. That's why it says, everything Hashem does is always for the good. What does it mean, always for the good? Is it good in our perspective? No, because we don't know what's available to us. But once we know that based on our actions, the things that are available to us are horrible, and what we got is actually the best case scenario, that means that if a guy is homeless, him being homeless is actually the best case scenario of what was available to you. It's not necessarily good. You shouldn't say, oh, chazak, you're homeless. Good for you. No. But based on his actions, out of what was available to him, that was the best option available to him. If a person is sick, he's sick, or a person died, you don't celebrate that he died. You don't celebrate that someone's sick. But you never question Hashem. Why? Because Hashem, whatever options were available to that person, that was the best option. Him getting sick was the best option. Why? It's better than death. Yeah, but him dying, how can him dying be better than, what's worse than that? Well, he died. Maybe he died before he made a sin that would be too far where he would lose Olam Haba. So Hashem killed him without losing his Olam Haba. The point being, Rabotai, is that everything Hashem does is always for the good. Always for the good. But that's what it means. It means that we have a new set of options every time we make a decision. Whether to do good or to do bad. You make a mitzvah, you are now changing eternity. All of the infinite amount of options that you had available to you before you did that mitzvah, before you helped kiruv, before you helped somebody do tshuva, before you learned another daf gemara, before you gave somebody a chidush, before you invited someone to a shiur, before you gave somebody a CD, before that you had, let's say, 1,000 options of things that were supposed to happen to you. Once you made that one mitzvah, you have a whole new set of options that are much greater, much better than anything you had before. Unfortunately, it also works in the opposite way. So, a person needs to know that whatever they're getting, whatever suffering they're getting, the reason why our sages call it suffering of, afflictions of love or suffering of love, is because in reality it is. Hashem is always going to pick the best option for you, the least painful. But It's not his fault you keep making bad choices. He can't make the choices for you. He can't force you to do a mitzvah. He can't force you to go to Gan Eden. You have to choose. That's your test in the world. You have to decide whether you're going to learn Torah or not. You have to decide whether you're going to marry a Jew or not. You have to decide whether you're going to convert or not. You have to decide whether you're going to do the right thing or not. You have to decide these things. That's your purpose in the world. And that's why the sages constantly said that you have to review your actions. Review your actions day and night. Don't lie to yourself. Rabbeinu Yonah says in his essay, Darkei Tshuva, one strategy to do this: divide your day into manageable segments. He says, divide your day into the times you eat. You eat 3 times a day? Okay, so divide it into 3. Where wake up in the morning, say to yourself, I'm not going to sin. I'm not going to sin until breakfast. Not I'm not going to sin all day. That's a big commitment. You know, people want to make big commitments. No, I'm never going to waste seed again, Rabbi. Hold on there, guy. Hold on. You're addicted to this sin for 20, 30 years. You're already, all of a sudden, you're going to abandon it? What are you, the Stipe Gaon that quit 80 years of smoking cigarettes in 1 second? Whoa, relax. Relax. Don't sin till breakfast. Can you do that? That's what Rabbi Yonah is saying. Don't sin till breakfast. Can you do that? Can you handle that? Oh, for sure, Rabbi. What do you think, I'm an animal? Okay, do that. Now, once you get to breakfast, it's time to do the first cheshbon nefesh. The first self-accounting. What did I do till now? I just woke up 2 hours ago. I finally had breakfast. What did I do till now? Did I make any sense? Oh, because I didn't make any sense. I prayed, I put on tefillin, because you're not allowed to eat before you put on tefillin. So, I did everything I need to do. Oh, Hashem, I didn't do any sin. Okay, so now you did the first cheshbon nefesh, the first accounting. Now you make the second commitment, Rabbi Yonah says. Commit not to sin from breakfast until lunch. Until lunch, that's it. Not so hard. Small time frame. No, the whole week, the whole year. No, just to lunch. I can do this. I can do this. The guy goes on. What? He wants to make a sin, but it's 11:30. It's almost lunch. I want to sin. But it's 11. Survive another half hour. I only survive another half hour. Just that's it. I can make it to the finish line. He gets to 12 o'clock, gets to 12:30, he's got his lunch, Ishtabach Shimo, I got my burger, it's a kosher burger, I didn't sin till now. He feels like Malach Hashem. He thinks he's floating because he hasn't sinned at 12 o'clock in the afternoon. Rabbeinu Yonah says, Cheshbon Nefesh number 2. Accounting number 2. What have you done so far? You make any sins? No. Oh, Baruch Hashem. Any mitzvot? Oh, Baruch Hashem. Whatever you did, okay, good. Now commit. Now that you've accounted what you did, that's good, what you did, that's bad, what's going on, evaluate what you did, if it's really good, if it's really bad, and so on. Now commit not to make any sins until dinner. Until dinner, you got what, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 hours? Commit, that's it, not the whole day, don't be crazy now. Commit till dinner. Survive till dinner with no sins. Once you've survived till dinner, well, how much time do you have left? How much you have time left? Say, I'm not going to sin till the morning. I'm going to learn an hour or 2. Go to sleep. That's it. Chalas, finish the day. You survived an entire day without sinning big sins. Without sinning purposeful sins. That's how cheshbon works. That's how it works. When you look at your day in such a meticulous, precise way, you can find out how you can literally sanctify yourself in a relatively short period of time and see how where you are today and where you are in 6 months, 12 months, 2 years, 3 years from now is worlds apart. But you got to put yourself in a place where you know you're not putting yourself into a trap because you know your own limitations. We'll finish with this. We always talk about the sages as if the sages do not have flaws. As if the sages are not human. Well, I'm going to give you a couple of short stories to show you that they are human, just like you, even if they learn Torah. The Stipe Gaon at his time, in those days, the doctors of that day used to say that smoking cigarettes was healthy. Healthy. And many people, religious people, used to smoke a lot of cigarettes inside the Bet Midrash. The Steipler Gaon, Rav Kanievsky's father, used to smoke so much that he would say he doesn't know how people learn Gemara without smoking. The Bet Midrash was a cloud. They would smoke inside the Bet Midrash. As soon as he finished one cigarette, he had another one to light it. He would never stop. It would constantly be in his mouth. 80 years. Time passed. Medicine advanced. One day, he goes to the doctor. The doctor tells him, Kvod Harav, I'm sorry, but the cigarettes, we found out it's a little dangerous. It's getting dangerous, how much you smoke. Oh, it's dangerous? Okay, then I'll stop. The doctor laughed. Why? Because he knew you didn't have to look for the stipler. Why? You just see where there's smoke. There's a cloud inside the... Oh, he's there. There was so much smoke. It's just, you know where he was. He smirked. Oh, the stipler, we've been smoking for so many years. Going to stop? Oh, okay, no. Slow down maybe. Slow down maybe. But the doctor was curious. So he went to the Bet Midrash the next day, and he walked inside, and there's no smoke. So he asked one of the Avachim, is the Rav here? He goes, yeah, he's in the back. He says, he's not smoking? He goes, no, he hasn't smoked all day. Well, so he said, oh, maybe he's told somebody, so maybe he's hiding it. Maybe he's hiding it. So, he went back to the Bet Midrash at night, when everybody left. He peeked into the window. He knew the stipler is still there, learning Torah, no, non-stop. Maybe he's going to light a cigarette while nobody's there. Nothing. Wow. Okay, I'll survive a day, 2 days, 3 days. After a little while, stop. Stopped. Never a cigarette again. After a little while, he came to the eyes. How did you do it? Please tell us. How did you do it? Please teach us, because there are people that are smoking for 10 years, they can't stop. 5 years, they can't stop. You're smoking your whole life, you just stop just like that? Could you take something? You did Kabbalistic? He goes, no. What Kabbalistic? No, nothing. So how did you stop? He said, doctor, you said it's dangerous. He said, yeah, but I said a lot of things. No one listens to me. What do you mean? I said that. He goes, no. You said it's dangerous. In the Torah, it says, there's a mitzvah. You have to preserve your neshama. You have to preserve your body. If it's dangerous, it's not allowed. So that's it. He said, yeah, but how? He goes, what do you mean how? He tells him. What do you mean how? It says it's not allowed in the Torah. He goes, a lot of things are said in the Torah, but people don't do it. He goes, Mashiach. These crazy people that do things that's against the Torah. So that's a story that makes it seem there, unreachable, impossible, right? I'm going to give you another story. It was so difficult for him when he was smoking. It was so difficult for him to learn Torah on Shabbat, because he was so used to smoking cigarettes, that he would put smoke into a bottle and close it. And on Shabbat, open the bottle and take a little whiff of the smoke. So it would help him with learning Torah. So you can see how high the addiction was. The addiction was enormous. But once he knew, God said, no, that's it, finished. Last story, and then you can go home. Rav Dessler, alav shalom. Doctor told him, Kvod Harav, you're not allowed to smoke. It's not allowed. It's no good. Do. It's not dangerous. Do all that type of things. So Rav Dessler said, okay, so I'll stop. Rav Dessler, Michtav Meir Eliyahu, Kodesh Kodashim, Gdol Ador. Okay, I'm going to quit smoking. Quit smoking. Okay, quit smoking. You know how hard it is to quit smoking? I smoked for 20 years. When I told me I have to quit smoking, I started crying. What do you mean quit smoking? I like smoking. Why are you taking everything I like? What's the matter with you people? I'm already suffering as it is. Rav Dessler says, okay, I'll stop. Okay, he stopped. One day, first day he stopped. First day he stopped. Not a week, not a month, not a year. First day he stopped. An Avrech comes into his office in the morning and asks him, for the Rav, I was learning this sugya in the Gemara, and can you give me an answer? I don't know. I didn't understand this. He gives him the answer, and he goes, oh, by the way, you know I stopped smoking, right? Oh, okay, Kvod Rav, Chazak Baruch. Strange, extra comment. The rabbi doesn't usually talk extra. But fine, he left. As he left, somebody else comes in. Oh, Kvod Rav, I have this issue over here. Can you help me what it says over here in Shulchan Aruch? Oh, he gives him the answer. He goes, oh, by the way, you know I stopped smoking, right? Okay, Chazak Baruch, Kvod Rav. And all day, whoever walks into his office, the janitor, the cleaner, the helper, the guy that fixes the stenders, the guy that fixes the lights, all the Avlichim, the other rabbis, every single person that walked into the office, he told them, by the way, you know I stopped smoking. For 3 days straight. Even if the guy already came to him and he told him already. He tells him, you know I stopped smoking, you know I stopped smoking, you know I stopped smoking. After 3 days, he said, for the Rav, what's with you in the stop smoking? Okay, stop smoking. What do you want? Chabichat Kavayim wants to clap. What's the smoke? He goes, no. I know my Yetzirah. I know my Yetzirah. My Yetzirah likes to smoke. I like to smoke. But I know I'm not supposed to. But I know my Yetzirah says you are supposed to. So how could I do it? How could I do it? Now, you all did me a favor. I included you. You all did a chesed for me. I already included you in my mitzvah. How? I told you I stopped smoking. So that means that all of you are witnesses to me stop smoking, which means that if I smoke, you're going to see me. That's going to be big chilul Hashem. I don't want to make chilul Hashem. But then I say, okay, so if I thought to myself, he says, Rav Dessler says, I thought to myself, if I smoke, I'm going to smoke in the Bet Midrash, but then they're going to see me. Oh, so maybe I'll hide in the bathroom, but then somebody else is going to see me. Oh, I'll hide downstairs, somebody else is going to see me. Oh, maybe I'll hide behind the building, yeah, but the janitor is going to see me. Maybe I'll go in the middle of the city, but people over there know. I told everybody I possibly could, so that way I can't smoke. I don't have any place to smoke. I don't have any place to smoke. Oh, I don't make chilul Hashem. I don't want to discredit Hashem's name. I put myself in a situation where now I can't smoke. It's not that I don't want to smoke. I can't. Because it's against God now. A genius, Gdol Adol, using a tool that an average person can use. The difference is, do we believe in the same God he does? If you do, you can do the same thing. You could quit smoking, you could quit any addiction, you could overcome any desire, you could overcome any sin. You can be a full Baal Tshuva going straight to Gan Eden with your clothes on. It all starts with reflection, who you are, be honest with yourself, and grow from there. Bezrat Hashem. Next week we'll continue. Tomorrow night we have a shiur of Shelot v'Tshuvot. So any questions that you have that are urgent, you can ask today. If it's not urgent, Bezrat Hashem, keep them from tomorrow, especially if they're Torah questions, because your questions usually after the camera's off are sometimes better than the shiur. Baruch Adonai Le'olam. Amen ve'amen.